You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 56. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest, she is the founder and owner of Treats by Gifted. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure you all will be inspired by her story. Let's give a warm Gumptown round of applause for Crystal Jackson. Crystal, how's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. It is truly a privilege and an honor to be here with you today. So I thank you for even thinking of me.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, we're here to talk about Treats by Gifted. But before we go there, let's get to know the woman behind the brand. What's your story?
So I am a mother of a brilliant 9-year-old. I am a Tuskegee University, the illustrious Tuskegee University graduate, where I actually obtained 2 bachelors. I have my bachelor's in business administration, and I also obtained my second one, which is in hospitality management. And from there, a couple of years ago, I went on to obtain my MBA at Auburn University in Montgomery. I am a Montgomery native, so that's a little bit about me. Oh, I'm the baby of 12. That's something I always like to throw in there. I don't know if you think about what they ask you at school when they're like, tell us one unique or one fun thing about yourself, one fun fact. That's always been my fun fact is I'm the baby of 12.
Wow, what a story. A straight educated, those degrees making it happen. So let's back up to your Tuskegee experience. What was the HBCU experience like for you?
Oh, there's none greater. I absolutely loved it. My experience is probably a little bit different from most because I actually did Air Force ROTC my first 2 years of school. And so it was a lot more structured. Not to say that, there isn't structure in HBCU because there's definitely a lot of structure, but the sacrifices like most people make where they pull all-nighters, they go out and enjoy themselves as well as getting that, they have the social aspect to balance out the academic. I was a little more academic focused than I was social initially. And then I kind of realized, okay, well, you know what, I can do a little bit more. So I went out and had my fun too, but it was a great experience. Friends that I met at campus or on campus are now family. So it was wonderful. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Very powerful. And I agree. The HBCU experience, like you said, people you meet there just like family. And it's an experience like none other. And so what was that? So when you went over to AUM, I'm pretty sure that was a completely different environment.
It was totally different. And funny, I actually ended up working at AUM. So I started before I started my MBA at AUM before I actually started working there. But I wasn't on campus. So, at this time I'm grown. When I started my MBA, I was about 27. So I wasn't looking for the campus life or I was looking more so for something that was going to be convenient because I was also working full time. Like I said, I'm a mother. So I just needed something that would allow me that flexibility to take classes more so after hours. So it's completely different. It's definitely completely different, but there's no comparison to the HBCU experience. We're going to leave it at that.
Yes, ma'am. No, I agree wholeheartedly. Hats off to you for being able to juggle all of that, being a mother, going to school, getting educated, working. No, it's not easy, but you found a way, and that's dope.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So let's move over before we go over into Treats by Gifted, when did you first discover you had a gift of cooking?
So it's so funny. My mother actually started my brother and I. So I say I'm the baby of 12, but by my mother and father together, there's just 2 of us. So when I reference my brother, I'm referring to my brother who's only 3 years older than me. And so we grew up in the same household all our life. And my mother used to have both of us in the kitchen helping her bake cakes. That was just something that she did as a tradition. We would go to Georgia. My mother's from Georgia. And all major holidays, we would go to Georgia and travel. Everyone had their specific dish. So my mother's was dessert or cakes. So she had us in the kitchen helping her, around the holidays, making cakes, not just to take to Georgia, but you know how we do as a culture, we trade out dishes. So my mother would take a cake to an auntie's house here in Montgomery and, get some dressing from them. And then we go to my godmother's house here in Montgomery and she take them a cake and get some, sweet potato souffle or something from them. So it was just something that we were doing at basically like my son's age, if not younger. We were probably, I know for sure, in elementary. So like maybe 6 or 7 is when we started. And we used to pretend like we were on the Food Network. It's hilarious thinking back on it, but we would, narrate and all just, as we're getting ready to do step by step, we would talk through it and we're like, hey, and today we're back. We're making, a pound cake. We'll have all of our dry ingredients over here set aside. And we have our wet ingredients. Like we would literally act like we were on Food Network, but I actually didn't think anything else about it until after I had my son. Like that was something that I used to say, I wanted to do. I wanted my own bakery when I was a child, but not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? It was just me saying it. It wasn't anything that I actually sat down at any point in time and like planned out. I just thought it was fun, watching Food Network. I was like, okay, I want my own bakery. I want to bake. And then I went to school, the typical route that, parents try to guide you. And so I didn't even think anything else about it. And like I said, until I had my son, and then I kind of started baking on my own because I'm like, rather than going out and, buying these cakes or buying cupcakes, I can make this, I can do this. And that's what I did. His first birthday, I made his cake and I just kind of went from there. I know we'll come back to I'll get a little bit more in depth later on in the segment. So.
Oh no, that's all good. No, that's great. That was definitely a powerful story, and hats off to Mom Dukes for getting y'all in that kitchen early on, and just
Of
hearing you.
course.
Oh yeah, just hearing you talk about it's just always cool. Like just looking back when we were kids and we just had that imagination, like you were saying, y'all pretend like
Yes.
Food Network. Like those are the best times of our lives, and I just man, but of course, as we get older and we grow up, we start to get out of that. We start to come into reality. But now it's just so cool hearing y'all had your own show. I love it. So it's so dope just having that imagination. So Treats by Gifted, let's talk about that. What inspired the name, and also what products and services do you offer over there?
So what inspired the name? Actually, I originally started out with the name Gifted. If people look at my logo, it only says Gifted. And it was more so a hustle than it was a business originally. I didn't know about the whole process of, actually forming a business, going through the Secretary of State and all of that. So I was doing things with my business, just like, like I said, on the side, not necessarily for money, but just because I enjoyed it. And I came up with the name Gifted. And then when I actually just decided to move forward with my business and do it the legal way, the proper way, I realized that name was already taken. I think in the state of Alabama, someone else has Gifted for a different type of business. So then I was kind of left with, trying to figure out, okay, well, do I start all the way over? What do I do? And I was like, well, let me just make it more specific so people know what Gifted is. People have always told me, oh, you're so gifted, you're so talented. So that's where Gifted itself originated from, because I truly do believe, that I'm gifted. Like this is a gift I have from God. And so, like I said, when I went to go do everything on the website with the Secretary of State, and I noticed that that name was already taken, I decided to just add Treats by Gifted in the front of it. And that's how the name came about. We offer custom treats and custom cakes. So when I say custom treats, any type of chocolate covered treats. We're looking to expand and add candy treats. I don't know how soon. I've been playing around with it a little bit. And I've had a lot of inquiries, but for right now, we're sticking to chocolate covered treats, such as like chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate covered apples. We do Rice Krispie treats, cakesicles, all of those are chocolate covered. And then our custom cakes are just that for any type of occasion. Our motto is creating gifts for all ages, perfect for any occasion. So if it's a birthday, if it's a wedding, if it's a baby shower, whatever it is, If you give us a theme or a color scheme, we'll do our very best to execute it beyond your wildest dreams.
Powerful, powerful. And that's a great story how the name came about. And you all definitely got some great things going on over there. I'll be looking at the site and I'll be tempted, but I'm trying to stick to my diet. I'll be like, God, at least like everything be fire. But keep it keep up the good work. That's so awesome. So
Thank
whenever I have
you.
no problem, no problem. So whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to cover three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. So let's go back to your aha moment. What sparked the idea to take your love and your gift for baking and turn it into a business?
So I guess it was just the encouragement I got from friends and family, to be honest. Like I said, it was already something I was doing. Even when I was on campus at Tuskegee, I used to have people just go buy whatever it was that they wanted me to do. Like, it started off with chocolate covered strawberries. If you look back now, they look like nothing. It was just the taste that everybody was going for. So my close friends, they were like, "Oh, can you make me some chocolate covered strawberries?" I'm like, "Listen," I would tell them what to go get. They would bring it to me. I would make them and I let them know, hey, come pick it back up. So it wasn't really something I was charging for, but I kept getting encouraged to, like, you need to take this serious. You should start charging. And especially, I have an older cousin who is an entrepreneur, who is actually my one of my mentors. Like, she is my inspiration in a lot of aspects when it comes to this business endeavor. And she encouraged me to move forward in it, because she has several businesses now. But when she started out, she was doing treats and custom favors, not just treats, but like how people do the party packages for, the custom chip bags, the water bottle labels, all of that. She was doing that in addition to actual treats. And so she took me under her wing. And when she would need like an additional helping hand, she was like, "Hey, I got this order coming up in 2 weeks. I'm going to need you on this date." And if it was something I didn't know how to do, she taught me. And from there, she was like, I'm not doing treats anymore. I'm contracting you out. Either you're going to learn to take it serious and have enough confidence in yourself, or you're not. And I was like, you know what? I enjoy doing this. Why not? So that was kind of like my aha moment.
Awesome. That's powerful. And from the time you had that aha moment, how long did it take you to take action towards coming up with a logo and getting started?
Now that that is a great question, and I knew it was coming. So it took me quite a while. I'll be 100% honest. It took me quite a while. The logo wasn't long at all. My cousin, same one who I was just referencing, she made my logo. I was at her house. Like I said, I used to be over there anyway to help out with different things. And I can't remember what we were doing that particular day, but we actually sat down, and she was, I was telling her, we were talking about the logo, and she went through and created it for me basically. And, to my liking, I told her I wanted a gift box and I didn't want the standard. So she created that for me or whatever. But, it officially doing it and like moving forward in it, if you want to reference or you want to talk about when I went full time, because I'm actually full time with my business now, that would be as of November of last year. But as far as the paperwork and everything goes, I did that in 2020. I still didn't act on it fully. It was still something I was just doing on the side. Like I said, I've had multiple full-time jobs in addition to part-time jobs, all while like doing both part-time, full-time, and my business on the side, just like in between. And so I finally decided, let go all the part-time jobs. My part-time job would be Treats by Gifted. And so that's what I was doing. My last job was with AUM in November. Like I said, or I left there in November. And so I just took a leap of faith. I really did. God had been speaking to me about it. And my biggest thing was, I have a child and I don't have the means. Like, I have a house, I have a mortgage. I need the financial stability, and I need to know that I have these funds coming in. My orders are not consistent. So I took a leap of faith though in November and went full time with it. And God has not let me fall yet. So here we are today.
And that's powerful. And that's a great story. And just taking that action and stepping out there on that faith. And to be honest with you, yeah, that's a question that I love to ask. But the great part about it is it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get started. The fact that you took the idea and ran with it, that's what it's all about. And that's great. And to be honest with you, everybody don't have the courage that you had to walk away from your job. So don't ever think that what you did was dope. Like I'm telling you, like that's so great because I'm over here just cringing at the thought of not having that 9 to 5. But I know at some point in my life I'm gonna have to take that leap if I'm going to
Yes.
going to step into what God really has for me because that's may not be the route for everybody. And I know everybody don't want to be an entrepreneur, so that's not what I'm
Mhm.
saying. But you knew what you wanted and you went after it. And that is a victory in itself. So
Thank you.
yes, ma'am. So when you got ready to leave AUM, were they receptive to the idea of you going into full-time entrepreneurship?
In a sense, it was a lot with that, but in a sense, a lot of them already knew. A lot of people, I wasn't really quiet about the fact that I had my own treats business. I wasn't going around, soliciting or advertising, because that's a part of just the policy. But people were well aware. I brought samples in to work. Um, I had orders at times that people would actually come to AUM and pick up from me on my lunch break. So people were aware. And a lot of them knew that that was the ultimate goal, that at some point, whether it meant me retiring from AUM or whatever, at some point I was going to have my own business. So when it happened, they weren't expecting it to happen when it did. But they weren't surprised that I went full time with my business. I think it was just the timing.
Okay, it's all good, and yeah, I definitely understand. And the ones who didn't understand, it wasn't for them to understand. But good thing that they knew that was something that you were leaning towards, so you didn't catch them by surprise.
Not at all.
Awesome. So that last portion, audacity, it takes audacity to step out there and take an idea and actually present it to the world. I know you were saying your mentor was was one source. Was there anyone else who gave you that audacity to step out there and get started?
So God first. I always have to give credit to him first and foremost, because like I said, even with me leaving my job, I did it in fear. Like a lot of times, I don't know, you heard the phrase, or I've been hearing more frequently, people say do it, even do it afraid, and so that's what I did. I really honestly negotiated with God back and forth on that timeline that he had me leaving because, it's right before the holiday and all of that. Christmas is coming up. This is Thanksgiving just ended, so it's first and foremost, it was all God. The audacity was nothing but him, because if it were left up to me, I would definitely still be working there, trying to set more money aside, to be more comfortable when I did leave. But then also my parents. I said my mentor already, who was my first cousin, but then my parents. My whole family is it's just a beautiful thing, because there are so many of us that just have that entrepreneurial spirit. And my father, he owned his own club and store. My mother, even though she was an educator, she's now retired. She had a timeshare. Well, she still has it, and she would rent it out. Like I said, even with her doing the cakes. So I've always seen that hustle, that grind, and that's always been in me as well. I was laughing. I was listening to another one of your podcasts, and I think is it Brandon Hurst? Is that his name?
Yeah, that's hers.
He was talking about how, I think it was him. He was talking about how he started off selling candy, and that way, like, his mother ended up becoming a candy lady. Mm-hmm. Well, my father already had his own store, so I saw that, and what I decided to do, I used to see candy on sale in the store. I'm thinking smaller. I used to see candy on sale in the store, and so I would get the candy at the sale price, and then upsell it basically at school. And when my father realized what I was doing, him and my mother both, they encouraged that, and they actually, like, we used to go to cash and carry. My father would take me to cash and carry. We would get the big boxes of candy, and I would take it to school and sell throughout the hallways. Like I was known on the bus to have a backpack full of candy, chocolates, the chewies, whatever it was. And so, yeah, that is both from both of my parents. So,
wow, that's so amazing, having that support system and having those people in your corner that supported your entrepreneurial endeavors. And I love to hear that, because that's a big thing to have, that family support, that they weren't sitting down on your dreams. Yeah, that is amazing. So let me ask you this. This is a bit off the grid, but in terms of you having your gift, you're you cooking and things of that nature. So when you go out to eat and you order dessert, are you pretty critical or do you give them grace in advance? You start laughing like
I could already tell where it was going.
so yeah, are you a
Man.
harsh critic or do you give them grace?
So you know what's funny? I'm not a big dessert person.
Wow. Wow.
I'm not. So I'm not as critical. It's kind of rare that I get dessert. Like I have my faves. So for instance, tiramisu for the longest was the only thing that I wanted as a dessert. So like if we went somewhere like Olive Garden, then I would order tiramisu. But those, even like when they used to have it at Earth Fair, I would go back buy slices, like slices at a time, and just put in my refrigerator and eat tiramisu like one a day. And I wasn't as critical with that. But even now, like I said, anywhere else we go, if we just so happen to get some dessert, um, not so much. Not so much. The only time I really will probably get dessert is like if we go to something that's indigenous to the area that we're in. It's unique. It's like a mom and pop or a hole in the wall, something that only the locals go to. Then I do try their desserts because I'm just curious to see how they make theirs. I'm not really looking to judge or say, oh no, I can make it better. It's just to see like, okay, well, they may do something different than how I do it, and that may be something I can add or take away when I get ready to make my next treat or whatever. So I'm not that harsh of a critic. I don't think.
Okay, no, that's all good. That's all good. So what's the one dish you would say you've mastered? Say like right now, say if the kiddo come to you and say, hey mom, uh make me something sweet, and you just kind of just come off the like without having to measure anything or anything. What's that one dish you can go in the kitchen right now and whip up?
Definitely cheesecake. My cheesecake recipe, I know by heart. Like I can do it with my eyes closed. So any form of cheesecake, because it's pretty much the same recipe. It's just if I'm adding a different flavor like Oreos or something like that, that's the only thing that may change. But yeah, that I know front and back.
Nice, nice. Yeah, you really are gifted to cheesecake. That's one thing I'm gonna tell you. You can mess it up, but the fact that you can do it, the fact that you can do it off of memory now, that's dope. Okay, that's awesome. So
Thanks.
Treats by Gifted, yes, ma'am. So Treats by Gifted has done great things, and I know a lot of great things coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the business?
So short term, I'm looking forward to opening a storefront. Not just for me to sell my treats, but now this is like a spoiler alert, but anyway, what God has for me is for me. So if anybody else runs with the idea, it is what it is. But there's not really any shops in the local area that carry a lot of the supplies that we as quote unquote small bakers or treat makers that are in the area would need. I know people who do the same thing I do and they travel to like Birmingham or, outside of the city in order to go get certain things. So that's also something that I'm looking to have like space for within the storefront. So yeah, you would come in, you can get your cupcakes, you can get your cake, you can pick up an order or, or place an order, but you would also, for other entrepreneurs like myself, they would also have the opportunity to come in and shop and get some of their supplies. That's short term. Long term, I'm praying on it. I'm kind of considering I would like to have a franchise. I'm saying that, but I just don't want it to end up being where the quality changes, once I franchise. So that's kind of my concern there. But even outside of that, I definitely have other business ventures that I am pursuing. So there are going to be more businesses coming from Crystal, not just through Treats by Gifted, but there are more businesses that'll be opening. Myself and my son both. So that's definitely long-term goals.
Yes, ma'am. Those are some great short-term and long-term goals, and I have no doubt that you'll make them all come to fruition.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So as we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask $1 million question. I started this podcast because I wanted to highlight the greatness of Montgomery. Whether you were born here or you lived here for a significant period of your life, you being a hometown hero, what makes you the most proud to be from Montgomery?
The people here are definitely what makes me the most proud to be from Montgomery. Not just within my family or friends or anything, but like the people in general. A lot of times people on the outside looking in, they give Montgomery, they feel like we have such a bad rep. I remember hearing, when I would go somewhere, like I had an internship in Boeing, in Seattle, and I met some other interns out there, who were actually Tuskegee students or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, you're from Montgomery? I would have never thought that." Just kind of, there's like some, unfortunately, this negative connotation sometimes that people have when they've never even been to our city, but they don't realize how much, there are a lot of people here who genuinely care about the next, just like yourself. How you created this platform to help other entrepreneurs and, give us exposure. There's opportunities that people create here in our city for other people who are natives like us. So it's always the people, the networking opportunities, and just how we support each other. That's what I really love about my city.
Yes, ma'am. Same here. And yeah, people they have their perceptions about us, but yeah, the Gump, we dope. We got a lot of dope people doing dope stuff, so they can think what they want
Yes.
to think. Yes, ma'am. So how can the people connect with you, Crystal? What are your social media handles and website?
So I am on all social media platforms under the same name. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all under Treats by Gifted. If you do it on Facebook, it'll still come up Treats by Gifted. I think it may say LLC at the end, but it's all Treats by Gifted. They can also reach me via email, which is treatsbygifted@gmail.com. Our website is www.treatsbygifted.com. So everything is strictly Treats by Gifted. If you Google it, you'll find us. We are on Google. So
Yes, ma'am. Too easy. And of course, I'll put all of that in the description of the episode. Hey, Crystal, thanks again for this conversation. I really appreciate you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. We gone, but before we leave, remember, be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Gone. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.